right, cool, man. So we got Khalfani Muhammad. Is that that's it, man? So you're drafted in the 7th round by the Titans, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
what is it like being drafted to the NFL?
I mean that was pretty something. That was special. Obviously not everybody gets to be able to get drafted. So being drafted, I mean that had some type of it felt like some type of accomplishment. So that was big. I remember that day. I still remember that day. Probably gonna remember the day until I die. Because that is an honor and is a privilege. To be drafted. So.
Where were you at when you got drafted? Were you just watching the draft?
No, I wasn't even watching the draft. I was at my my little siblings track meet. I was
Oh
with
no.
them and my dad, so we were just kind of hanging out, chilling, watching them run. And on our way back, we were going to pick up, our other brother who was at a passing league tournament. And
Mm.
while we was going to go pick him up, that's when I had got the phone call. So I really wasn't watching the draft or anything. I was just kind of just going about my day and going from there.
Were you expecting to get drafted, or were you expecting to go undrafted?
To tell you the truth, I really didn't know.
Hmm.
So there's some people that worked me out and were reaching out to me and saying we like you and we want to get you in the draft. And then there were some teams that were just straight up and honest, just like, yeah, we don't think we're probably going to draft you, but we'd love to have you. So it was just kind of a toss up.
Okay.
I really didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to get drafted or not. So.
So those teams who said, "Hey, we're interested in you," or we might potentially sign you. What is that leading up to the draft? Is that during the draft you're getting calls, or what is that
That
like?
was a little bit leading up to it, and then during the draft,
During the
obviously I
draft?
started seeing people, get taken and things like that. They reaching out, to players and talking to them and things like that. So I actually thought I was going to go to Arizona in the 5th round. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I thought that's where I was going to end up being, but that didn't work out. But the dude who was texting me, I ain't gonna name names, but he was texting me. It was like, "Hey, we still got some picks. We might still come, get you." And they end up trading out all their picks. So they had no more picks, but they wanted me to, obviously sign with them after. But then
Hmm.
I ended up getting picked up by Tennessee.
When in the draft, I mean, the thing is, you weren't watching it, but is there, as a potential draftee, is there teams that you're kind of just like, I hope I don't go to, or are you
Uh,
open to like, what, I don't care, I just want to get drafted, I don't
yeah,
care
not,
about the
not
city?
really. I didn't look at it like that. Like that's a team I don't want to go to.
Hmm.
It's like if wherever I go, that's where I go. Be thankful for the opportunity and go from there. Like I said, I mean, it's not everybody gets, not everybody gets drafted, yet alone not everybody gets picked up.
Yeah.
Um, even after the draft. So for me to, sit there and be like, I don't want to go to that team. I just see that as a missed opportunity, and that's something I don't want to,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want that to happen. So I wasn't even thinking like that. I was just
Okay.
excited to go to the next level.
So once you get drafted, what is that like? Like, do they get you on a plane the very next day to go to their facility? Like, what
Maybe
is that like?
if you're first or second round pick, maybe.
Uh huh.
Nah, later rounds now. It's just they call you up. Obviously, you get drafted, and then they have you, pretty much answer a bunch of questions and things like that. I think the fans would like to hear, and
Mm.
that's pretty much all. So I mean, it was that day. Got drafted, had a few interviews and things like that, and then the next day, you kind of, you just go back to doing what you do.
Oh no, wait. So it's basically like the first and second round picks that are really getting the good
Yeah,
treatment, where they're like, "Let's get you on a plane. Let's have
yeah,
you come down here." The later round guys are just like, "Stay home. We're gonna need you like during mini camp or rookie mini camp." I'm assuming, right?
exactly. So I mean,
Wow.
after that, we just go back to being normal.
Okay.
Celebration.
Okay. Got that, man. So once you sign your first contract,
Hmm.
what you spend that signing bonus on, or that little bit that they cut? Is there anything specifically that you bought?
I didn't. Me personally, I didn't buy anything. I've been fortunate in other ways, just making business decisions before I even got drafted.
Hmm.
Um, to really, have some money. So, it
Hmm.
wasn't like when I first signed. I didn't, first of all, 7th round, you're not getting a huge check.
It's not. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get a nice chunk of change, but it's not like you first round getting, 20 mil. That's a
Yeah.
different story. So in my case, it wasn't like I was like, oh my God. It was just like, okay, like, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Going from there. So I didn't buy anything. So no to that answer,
Nothing
man.
like that. Okay, cool. So you're drafted to the Titans, and I think at that time Derrick Henry and I think Dion Lewis was still on the roster. Were they?
No, it was Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray.
Oh, Murray was still on the roster.
And then we had another back named Flu.
Okay, so how
Yeah,
was it being the? Were you drafted actually in first to be a wide receiver or running back?
running back. Yeah, I
Did you
mean,
make a transition to wide receiver at all? I remember when we were speaking before.
no, they just like Tennessee, particularly that when they had worked me out, I just ran pretty much the whole route tree.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, and
Okay.
they like the way I called and how I moved and stuff like that. So no, I got drafted as a running back to play running back, but be able to go out and slide and do certain things.
So how is it being in the running back room with Derrick Henry? I mean, the guy was just like, potential MVP this past year.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. I mean, obviously we were young. He was young. It was like his
Yeah,
second
yeah.
year, my rookie year, and then who pretty much had the workload was DeMarco Murray during the time. But it was cool though, being there and working with them guys and things like that. Just seeing each of us kind of bring something different, to the table. So it was cool to be around them and learn from each other and things like that.
Now, Henry wasn't balling back then like he was like this past season. As an NFL player, do you look at someone and be like, you know what, that guy has potential? Like I know like down the road he's gonna have like a Pro Bowl season, or is it something where it's just like you guys aren't even paying attention to?
No, absolutely. You can see that. You can see the potential. I think everybody that goes into the NFL pretty much starts off at potential. You're
Yeah.
on a clean slate. You have to kind of go from there. You know what I'm saying? It's like your achievements that you've done in college doesn't carry over to the pros. So it's a clean slate. You can see the potential, and you be like, man, keep working. He can blossom into something nice. So yeah, you do see that. Obviously look at Derrick Henry, like you said. You know what I'm saying? He's he wasn't getting the workload when I was there,
Yeah.
but opportunities and things like that. And then boom, you know what I'm saying? After a year or two, now he's that man. So
Exactly, man. So
yeah,
speaking of college, I don't believe went to the combine, but you did have a pro day, I believe, right?
yeah, I did not get invited to the combine.
So what is an NFL pro day like? So for people who don't know, you went to Cal Berkeley.
Yeah.
So what is that like? Like having a pro day? Like the scouts over there, what kind of questions they ask you? What does that exactly feel like?
Pro day, testing day. I mean, obviously, leading up until that time, we're preparing for that. You know what I'm saying? We're getting after, doing certain drills, techniques, things like that to be prepared for that day. So on that day, I mean, it wasn't like you just getting tossed out there and it's just kind of like, whoa, what's going on? Like
Yeah.
doing a bunch of stuff that, we don't know. No, we're prepared for it. So it was actually more of a relief, you know what I'm saying? Because that's
Yeah.
the day, you know what I'm saying? That's the judgment day. So after that, you don't gotta continue to do, things that are kind of not relevant to football. I'm not gonna say not relevant to football, but doing, L cones and 5, 10, 5.
Yeah, exactly.
You can get back
Exactly,
to
man.
doing actual football stuff.
Uh you ran like a 4.3, I believe, on your 40. Is there any specific drills that leading up to it, or just always been fast? Because I know typically, as far as like NFL combines go, people are just training for that 40 nonstop because they know if they improve their time even by 0.1 seconds, they can go up around. So
Yeah.
is it something that you've been constantly training for that 40, or you just always been fast? Because I read that you've been winning like races like 100-yard meters, 200-yard meters and stuff like that, through high school and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so for the 40, I mean, obviously you got to train for it because it's a different type of race compared to 100 or 60 or anything out there.
Yeah.
So no, you do train and prepare for it, but I was already had the speed and things like that. But where I was training at also, they kind of helped me work on certain things to really, make that 40 pop.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so no, you a lot of people get after the 40. So now I was getting after the 40. Leading up until pro day, man, we were running some super fast times, and then pro day, it was like a freaking winter storm out there,
It
man.
was raining from what I saw in the video. I saw the video online.
It was raining, it was cold, it was windy, it was kind of a shit show. So
Is
it
it
was,
something where you can tell the scouts like, yo, man, like it's raining, like it's not fair, or they're just like, fuck it, like I don't care, you're running the 40
yeah,
weather because it's gonna slow down your time.
it's like football, man. You got to show up, in any conditions, that come forth. So it wasn't like you could just start whining and things like that about the situation.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, if they take that into consideration, then awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what great evaluators do in the first place. But when you see it on paper, you're like, oh, okay, like that's a good time, you know what I'm saying, 4-3. But if you knew the conditions, then you know what I'm saying, you'd be like, oh wow, like that's actually pretty impressive.
So your time, I believe, was a 4.38, was it?
4.35, I believe.
4.35, and that was in the rain.
Yeah.
So if I put you down on a sunny day, perfect track, what type of 40 are you running?
That day right there, man, perfect day. I gotta say 4.1.
No, really? Okay.
We were throwing down some super fast times, man, leading up into the pro day. So I mean, I was expecting nothing less than a low 4.2 for sure.
So now that you're in the NFL and with all the training you do in college, when you're in the NFL, what kind of training do you do? So for any everyday NFL player, what kind of meals are you getting in, calorie intake, training? What is the daily life of an NFL player like when it comes to training?
I'll probably say now, I mean, once on my first few years in the NFL, I mean, you train hard and you get after and things like that. But as you start to get a little bit older, I feel like me personally, I train a little bit harder now.
You're still young. You're still young. You're not old yet.
Yeah, football years. Yeah. I mean, I go pretty hard. So typical, like, for example, off season, man, so I go run with a track team to keep my speed up. So I'm actually doing some real running, as opposed to just doing, some drills on the football field and working on 40s. I don't even work on 40s anymore. I just do street. Like, if I'm gonna do speed, like I'm gonna do real speed with actual, speed guys, which is track runners.
Okay.
I link up with a group out there at Mount Sac with Coach John Bowden, and we get after it, man. We'll get out there a lot. So that's what I typically do in terms of like my diet and things like that. That's just year-round consistency, constantly making sure that you're eating the right things. I mean, you can, eat, junk food every now and then, but nothing, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I never really had bad habits when it came to eating, like, bad
junk
food
and stuff like that.
So
I know JJ Watt, I mean, the guy's a D lineman, so you have to put that amount of calories in to stay that big. So he was eating, I think, like 6 huge meals a day. For someone of your stature, it's not something like that, right? It's more like
absolutely not, man. I might just eat like 2 meals a day, if that.
Okay.
Me personally, I'm not a big guy. So it's like whatever, you know what I'm saying? No matter how much I eat, I'm not gonna get, big. If anything, I'm gonna get fat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It might get slower. So I really don't focus too much on my calorie intake.
Stuff like that.
I make sure, I have all the nutrients and things like that to fuel my body, but I'm not just excessively eating, all day. Even when I don't have to eat much or eat a lot. So it's just kind of whatever for me.
Okay. Now, after the Titans, were you cut after one season?
Yeah, they cut me the next year during the off season.
Right. So, what is getting cut feel like in the NFL? Like, as everyone knows, like a ruthless business. Like in the regular job field, it's not they're going to come up to you and be like, "Oh, well, you're fired. We're looking for someone else." Like so often, the NFL is like, if you're not getting the job done, it's like we're going to replace you. It's a very ruthless type business. What does it feel like getting cut in the NFL?
Everybody's a little bit different. So, I mean, my answer could be a little bit different than, the next person. But for me, I mean, you understand once you're in the NFL, you understand that it's a business and it happens and it can happen to the best of us. Even, even if you are getting the job done, I've seen, people get cut. It's a lot of variables that go into it. So, for me, it wasn't necessarily, pondering on the situation. I mean, obviously, it sucks to be cut,
Yeah.
and that's not something I want to go through. But I'm not going to sit there and ponder on it. It's like, okay, well, it's time to move on, and let's, see where the next opportunity is going to come from, and take advantage of it. So that was just me, just from, things I've learned in the past, obstacles I've had to overcome myself, kind of just prepare me kind of for that situation. Not saying it's exactly the same, but it was just kind of more like, let's look at for the next opportunity instead of pondering on it.
I remember when I used to watch, or when Hard Knocks and NFL was on, like it shows when as soon as they come into the facility, there was a guy waiting by the door, and he's like, "Hey, give me your playbooks. We're gonna go see the coach." Is it something like that, or is it basically you get a call by your agent and just say, "Hey, I got some news"? Or
every team's a little bit different. It all depends on the team, how they operate, or the person who's cutting you, and how they do things and things like that. So it's different, man. I've seen it happen in so many different ways. I mean, it could be that way. It could be just be a phone call. It could just be your agent.
Okay.
It could be so many things. It's just kind of hard to really pinpoint something because you don't know.
yeah, man. So you were actually picked up again. What was the next thing that you were picked up by?
I was picked up the following year by Denver Broncos.
Okay, and how was that?
It was good, man. They had picked me up, during my second year, and I liked it there. Was able to end up being there for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I was there for quite some time, so I enjoyed it.
And you actually, from what I remember, I actually saw you're playing the Hall of Fame game, and you were actually playing, really well too. And then once you get cut for a second time, is it something at that point you're just kind of like getting numb to it a little bit, or is it still just like, damn, like?
I wouldn't say you get numb to it because I mean, you don't want to get numb to something that you don't want to happen.
Yeah.
It's not like you get numb to it. That's just the nature of the business. It goes down. I've seen people, get cut, what I'm saying, 5, 6, 7 times in 1 year, by the same team too.
I've seen that too. Yeah.
You see all kind of stuff happen. So I wouldn't say numb. It's just you got to keep moving forward because, one day you could be cut and then the next day they need you. And if you're still pondering on when you got cut, why you got cut, and, so many other things, then when they do give you an opportunity, so you're not going to take advantage of it. So I being cut the second time, it was just like, well, hey, it's what it is again. So let's get after it again.
You can't get down on yourself too, because you still have to be in shape. You still have to continue working because another team can always call you. The Broncos even call you back if there's ever like an injury in the running back situation. So they can always even have you back. So you can never get down on yourself, right?
Exactly. You got to stay prepared, man. So the last thing you want to do is get down on yourself, and it motivates you. You know what I'm saying? Just kill everything, all your morals. And,
yeah, man. And then, so the next team that you, I believe, went to, was it the Vikings?
So Arizona ended up picking me up for a little bit, and then we had quite a few injuries at a position, at the defensive lineman position, and they needed to bring in some other people. And obviously, I just got there, so I'm first on the bubble.
Yeah.
So they kind of broke that down to me, and so I was at home, I want to say for about a week, a little bit more, probably almost 2 weeks. And Minnesota Vikings had called me and was like, hey, we want to bring you in. And what's funny is Arizona actually called the next day and was like, we want to bring you back. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got positions, spots open. We want to bring you back. But I was already in Minnesota.
Is it something where you can choose? Because I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe if you're on the practice squad, were you on the practice squad on the Vikings? I could be wrong, but I believe if you're on the practice squad, you actually could go to a different team if they sign you to the 53.
Yeah, if they sign you to the 53, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So they just wanted to put you on the practice squad.
Yeah, they wanted to bring me back on the practice squad. And I was already in Minnesota, so it's kind of, like, well.
Okay. Now,
go ahead.
I was going to say, well, being on the practice squad, a lot of people don't really know what that's like. So explain to a lot of people what it's like to be a practice squad. I believe there's usually just like eight members can be on the practice squad per team, somewhere around that. So if you can let us know what is being like in the practice squad like.
It's pretty much like being on a team, to be honest. You do everything. The only thing you don't do is playing the games. And every team's a little bit different in how they, organize and do certain things.
Yeah.
Even make you travel.
Well, actually, not to cut you off. So one thing I wanted to ask. So, for example, let's say during practice, let's say if you guys are going to be facing a quarterback with a lot of mobility, they'll actually have like you, for example, pretend to be quarterback with your fast speed, emulating, let's say, a Lamar Jackson. So I actually hear practice squad, they'll actually help teams prepare a lot for the type of quarterbacks they're going to be facing. So, for example, if like Kirk Cousins is not the most mobile quarterback and you guys are facing Lamar Jackson, they'll put, let's say, someone like you from the practice squad emulating his speed so the defense can get adjusted to that. So is that something that they do as well?
Yeah, that is something that they would do. You gotta also too is that, I mean, practice squad's only got 8 players. I mean, you don't have an offense, a defense, special teams. 8 players. So a lot of them guys who are also, you're practicing with, or it would be the backups, second string, sometimes even first strings in certain situations with injuries and things like that go down. So it's literally like, it doesn't have to be a practice squad player who's mimicking, Lamar Jackson. It'll be somebody on the team, like roster also. So that's what I mean by it, you're pretty much doing everything on the team. You do exactly the same. You still do your position stuff with your position. You still go out there, you still even get reps, you know what I'm saying, with the first team in some situations, like especially like receivers and DBs. We practice, even a practice squad player be out there with the first team playing. But every team's a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? Really good organizations, they don't like separate, you know what I'm saying, the practice squad from the team, because the next week that practice squad player could be active.
Right, exactly.
Not only active, but he can be, the difference in the game. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen it happen where, they get their name called. I've seen people get called up the day of, and they had to go out there and they had to perform. And they did, a damn good job, and they end up actually becoming that guy. So you see it quite often. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that can happen. So yeah.
No, there's been plenty of practice squad players throughout the NFL history who became Hall of Famers. Like all they needed was that shot. I mean, James Harrison, former defensive MVP, was an undrafted free agent. So practice squads definitely, could make a huge difference. Now, speaking of practice, what is a practice like in the NFL? Because it's not just like you go in, you practice for an hour. There's meetings. It's a long day, right? It's not something, an hour or two.
Again, it's different on every team, but typically, I mean, you will have your meeting. For example, Arizona, we practice in the morning. I mean, it gets real hot.
Yeah,
during the day, so we practice in the morning. So when I was there, like the end of last year during the season, we'll have meetings for like an hour and 30 in the morning, and then we'll go right into practice, and then we'll have meetings after. You know what I'm saying? Learning installs and things like that for the next day. And then some teams, they will have meetings, leading up all the way till, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, maybe even 3 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then practice, then have a quick meeting at the end, and then end their day. So it's a little bit different. It really comes down to the head coach. See how he wants to run things. But in terms of that, like you just don't know what you're gonna get until you're on the team.
Yeah. How repetitive, I guess you can say, is constantly watching film. Is it something where, as an NFL player, you're just like, damn man, I just want to get out there and play. I don't care about watching film. Or is it something where you're just like, you know what, it's something I got to do. It's I got to see who I'm going against, work on my game, and see what I did wrong, what I did right.
Definitely something you got to do. I mean, and like that's pretty much what we emphasize is, I'm not gonna say emphasize film, because you emphasize doing the right things, but what can help you do the right things is watching film, studying your opponents, looking at the defense or offense or special teams, whatever it is that you play. So no, we it is repetitive because all day, every day you're watching film. Not
Mhm.
only are you watching, film on, your opponent, you're also watching film on yourself, your team as a unit, your offensive unit, defensive unit,
Mhm.
and going from there and correcting the mistakes. So I mean, film is I would say is a great tool, to really, help, what I'm saying, you get better.
Now let's say, I know as far as like a quarterback position, when they're watching film, they want to see if a corner falls for a certain fake going one way, how they can utilize that during the game. When it comes to a running back,
Mhm.
what are you specifically looking for when you're watching film, when you're analyzing a defense that you're going against? Is it something where you're like, this guy's a little bit slower, let me kind of use my speed toward him? What is something that you look for?
Yeah, so first, you want to dissect the defense. See what kind of schemes they run, what personnel. Is it a 4-3? What I'm saying, or is it a 3-4? Nickel 4-2. You want to kind of see like what are they primary run,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start going and tell individuals what they're good at, what they're not good at. What I'm saying. Then again, the coaches. That's what the coaches are there for too, is to also help. Create mismatches. I mean, that's what the NFL is all about. It's about
Exactly.
putting you on somebody that can't guard you, or somebody guarding somebody that what I'm saying, that they know they
Mm-hmm.
can guard. So it's about the coaches putting us in the right position. So I mean, yes, we go in there and we have an idea of what we're going to do and who we're going to do it on and things like that. So yes, you do pay attention to, what I'm saying, is
Okay.
it a little bit slower? Is you have loose hips, tight hips? What I'm saying, is he a little slow reacting and things like that?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But we get to that after we learn, the personnel and schemes.
When you're watching film, you don't have to drop any names, but is it something where you look at a guy and you're like, how the fuck is that guy in the NFL? Like, is it something where you're just like, I got that fucking guy if he ever comes my way. Like, I'm gonna juke the shit out of him. Like, this guy ain't shit.
You see it. You see it all the time. You see it all the time. You're watching film or you're in the game. And you're like, what's damn? You know what I'm saying? Like,
So, I mean, when we're speaking about that, I mean, clearly there's some teams like who suck in the NFL. I mean, you look at the Jaguars this past season. Um, from an NFL player, is there really that much of a difference in talent between, let's say, an average, let's say, like a Dolphins team and the Jaguars? Is it a lot of talent that's separated, or is it something where it's just like a little bit of coaching, a little bit more experience as a young team? I like let fans know how much is there a difference between like the great teams versus like the middle teams and like the really bad teams? Is it like, heart and will that really separates them, experience?
all 32 teams are talented.
Yeah.
There is really no difference between the players. If you look at it from talent wise, I mean, then again, the worst team also gets the first pick of the draft.
Yeah.
They're getting what they think is the best player available out there. Who's talented. What I'm saying, who is
Yeah.
individually talented. So no, there is no difference. All 32 teams have really talented people. I think it comes down to the small things.
Okay.
Organization. I mean, obviously coaching. What I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, and things like that. That stuff plays a huge role. The culture of the environment. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff plays a role, and that's what separates. What I'm saying, good teams from shitty teams.
Speaking of coaching and the culture, you played for the Patriots, which is basically the culture everyone tries to emulate, I guess you can say, in the coaching. So how is it playing for Belichick, and what's the culture like in the Patriots locker room?
So I was only there for a little bit during preseason, but
Mm-hmm.
you can for sure see why they have been successful recently or over the past few years, more than a few years.
Is it
uh, Go
is it
ahead.
something where like a player is smiling after a good play and Bill Belichick's like, hey, fucking stop that? Like, it's like no smiling. Is it that type of thing?
Not like that. It's just they emphasize on making sure everybody knows their assignment and going out there and executing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I can say from just a short period of time I was there, is that's what they do pride themselves on. I mean, they make sure that know what you're doing, and then are able to go out there and do it. They're not going to put you in position where you can't, something that you can't do. So no, and I've never been through so many walkthroughs in my life. You know what I'm saying? When I
Oh,
was
wow.
there,
Okay.
like what I'm saying, like I just got there and I had to play in a preseason game. I was it like 2 or 3 days later, but I was able to go out there and do it because we were just running through, or we was walking through a bunch of walkthroughs and emphasizing all the things that we need to do. So when I got out there, I knew what I was doing, so I can actually just play. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like trying to wonder, what is it I got to do? Where I line up? You know what I'm saying? What route I got to run here? You know what I'm saying? So I would think I would like to say that's the difference I've seen from when I was there.
So speaking of that, how hard is it to learn an NFL playbook? And especially for you getting cut, learning a new playbook. It's not like we're an average NFL player, or a lot of them stay on the same team, same offensive coordinator, same defense coordinator, same playing call, nothing changes. But when you're switching teams, it's different language, it's a lot of different stuff. So how long does it take for you to at least get comfortable with the playbook?
Yeah, absolutely. I done seen a lot of playbooks. In the beginning, obviously it's rough. I mean, it's like learning a foreign language.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little bit different, especially from Cal. The type of offense that we ran, it was just all signals, or one word codes. So it was a little bit different. You actually had to, listen to the motions, to the formation, to the shifts, to the concepts.
Cal, did they hold those like little pictures and stuff like that, like they do at Oregon, and just be
we did my first 3 years. We did. We had we had the signs and stuff, but we also had the coaches that were signaling. And then my senior year, we had more of the quarterback that was kind of telling us what we had to do. And were codes and numbers and things like that. So it was a big difference. But then once you're in the NFL and you see or learn a playbook, they're pretty much all the same. It's just the difference is the terminology. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So I actually hear, like,
yeah,
for example, I was gonna say, like, for example, one certain word in a play can mean totally something different in a totally different team and their play calling, and where you can kind of get that mixed up, right?
You can for sure get that mixed up. That's why you got to know the concepts. Once you like understand concepts and things like that, then you just kind of flip the terminology and you're good to go. That's how I've been able to learn all the other playbooks.
So at an average job, your boss is not going to come up to you and be like, "Hey, you fucked up, you stupid, blah blah blah." If you don't know your shit in the NFL, how hard is a coach going to ride you? If you make a mistake,
for sure going to get on you. No, they're going to get on your ass. I mean, that's a major difference on why some teams are successful and some teams aren't. Is obviously if they're knowing what they're doing, and that's a reflection of the coach too. That's how the coaches look at it. They look at it as that's a reflection on themselves. If my athletes don't know what I'm saying, the plays or whatever they need to be doing, then we need to change our coaching and see how we can help them understand.
Got it. So you've been in environments where the coach actually doesn't ride you as hard, and they're more so just trying to prep you up. Hey man, like you can do it. Like being more positive versus.
We're learning new things all the time. So I mean, the coach, what I'm saying, is trying to help us, learn all the stuff. So I mean, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying, you mess up, he'll ride you. But at the same time, he's there to teach you. You know what I'm saying? Like you getting cussed out or whatever it is can be the difference on you, making a mistake or not making a mistake next time it comes up.
Got it.
So no, it's all at the end of the day. You can get cussed out, all day long, but pretty sure the coach is got your best interest.
When you're in the NFL, you're basically fighting for a living. You're fighting to put food on your plate. You're fighting for a contract. Is there ever a moment where you sit back and be like, damn, that's Tom Brady? Like, I mean, you still got to be a fan of the game, right? Where you're like, damn, I'm on the same team as Tom Brady right now. Damn, I'm on the same team as like DeAndre Hopkins right now. Is it something that you ever get like kind of starstruck about? Like, damn, I'm teammates with him, or I'm playing opposite of this guy right now?
I don't think people are worried too much about who they playing with during the
Okay.
game. I mean, you might be watching film or something like that and be like, well, damn, that was a good throw. You're like, man, I see why he's, really good. That's a great catch, great cut, things like that. You're like, man, like he does that stuff really good. You know what I'm saying? So you
Mhm.
give credit where it's due, but I don't think in the middle of a middle of a game or play, you like, oh man, like
Yeah.
you gotta going, you gotta make sure you're doing your job. So
When it comes to fantasy in the NFL,
mhm.
how much do players pay attention to their stats and when it comes to fantasy?
Uh, I don't really see too much of that. I mean, then again, I don't know what people do in their free time.
Mhm.
So I only know what I do on my free time, and I can tell you, I'm not looking at stats or fantasy or anything like that.
Is
But
it
I
something
would
that
say,
you, well, I was gonna say, is it something that you hear on the sidelines during the game? Be like, hey, coach, like, like I want to pump my
no,
numbers up a little bit or something?
no, absolutely not. You better
Oh,
not say
okay.
nothing like.
Okay.
Nah, no, absolutely not. No, no, I have never heard that. I'm
So
curious to see if anybody else has.
I was playing Madden with my boy like 2 weeks ago, and he was the Cardinals, and he actually threw it to you in the game, and you caught a pass. Are you a
Yeah.
big Madden fan? And how, if so, how crazy is it that you see yourself in a video game?
Me personally, I'm actually not a Madden fan.
Oh
I
no.
wouldn't
Okay.
say, I don't. It's not like I don't like Madden. I like Madden. I play Madden. But
Mhm.
I'm not, obsessed with Madden. Me
Mhm.
personally. Everybody's a little bit different. Like I
Mhm.
said, I don't know what people do in their free time. I don't know if they
Yeah.
playing with
Yeah.
themselves
Yeah.
on Madden. I can see that. But tell you the truth, I have yet to play with myself on Madden. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I get a lot of
And
people that hit me up about it all the time, though. Like, I just play with you on Madden, man. You're so fast. I have yet to even see myself on Madden.
oh man, nah, I've been thinking that's like a really cool thing. I mean, I grew up playing like all my life, so just seeing if I was in the game, like I thought it'd be really cool. But
Yeah,
I can tell
it's
you're
for sure
you're
cool. I mean,
straight
I've seen like
businessman.
clips and stuff, but I never actually, got the controller. It was let's get it. You know.
What's the craziest thing that you see in the NFL locker room? You don't have to drop any names of any players, but what's something that's just like some shit can happen in the locker room that like some fans don't know?
Can't share that. Can't share
They say that? Okay.
that.
And then last question. So when it comes to football players, a lot of people think everyone's making millions and millions every single player, but of course that's not the case.
Yeah.
What is it like uh basically, as because I know you from work basically,
Yeah.
or on the side. So how is it like working and training for the NFL, and then once like the season starts, basically jumping into that type of field and getting prepped up again, and and stuff like that.
You talking about like just to stay prepared for football?
Stay prepared for football, and basically, how do you turn yourself on once football season comes? It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, I got to put this up to the side, and and
Yeah. I mean, tell you the truth, football really never stops. I mean,
mm,
nowadays we train year round.
mm,
Camp isn't as harsh as it used to be. You can even see that on Hard Knocks. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
Hard Knocks when it first came out compared to Hard Knocks now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, like they had some serious camps.
mm,
So it's a little bit different because we stay in shape year round. So it's not like, you know what I'm saying, we got to do a hard-nosed camp to get in shape or get our bodies right or mentally right. Like we're constantly, doing football year
mm,
round. I mean, even on the off season, you're out there running routes or, catching balls, even if it's just standing still. You know what I'm saying? Like
mm.
you said, some people play Madden. I mean, that's football. Football IQ right there. People constantly, talk football. Some people, that's all they do is football. You know what I'm saying? As players, that's all they know. So
Mhm.
I mean, they're constantly, that's literally what they do every day, even on the off season. So it's not like when we get back, we gotta like go hard to get us,
Back in the
in
shape and stuff.
position
Hmm.
to where we need to be. Um, Most likely you're probably already in position where you need to be. It's just fine tuning,
Exactly.
you know.
And last question: any crazy hazing rookie stories that have you seen, or when someone gets coming to the NFL first day of camp?
You know,
Uh,
they when I came in, that's when they kind of stopped all the hazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like my rookie year, they was doing all the haircut stuff. I
Hmm.
was walking in with crazy haircuts and things like that. You might
What
see
was your
some.
haircut?
I didn't get one.
Oh, you didn't
It,
get one? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I did not get one. DeMarco Murray was like, nah, we're not doing that in our room. Um, so we're good. But you see some people with some crazy ones. You see some people who get tossed into the cold tub or things like that. But nothing too crazy, man.
It's just basically, I think now these days, it's just like, hey, Rook, go give me my donuts, go do my laundry and stuff
Yeah,
like
that
that, I
that
think,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, you might tell them to go get some food or snacks for the room and make sure they keep up on them. But that's just like the norm for rookies.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day, like fights used to break out from like rookie hazing, and stuff like that. Like, I
Yeah,
forgot who it was, but someone took
yeah,
like exception to the hazing and they fought back.
yeah.
Uh,
You don't see too much of that. I mean, the hazing is kind of controlled, regulated now. Than like it was.
yeah,
Today. So nothing too crazy that I've seen with my own eyes. Just normal stuff. I
just
mean,
normal
just
type stuff.
typical stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know about you, but I grew up with all boys, so I mean,
Mhm.
constantly messing around with each other and playing jokes and things like that.
So
That
it's normal shit.
is
Yeah.
normal. That's
Can
normal.
you share any super funny jokes like that you've seen inside the locker room though? Like, or
I
you don't have to drop names.
don't got any that are PG, man.
You can drop a PG-13 or rated R. I mean,
Nah, that stuff. That's a lot of that stuff. To be honest with you, is got to keep within the
you gotta keep it in the house. Okay, I
yeah,
understand, man.
keep it with a group, man.
Okay, but you know what, man? I really appreciate you coming on, man. I know you got a busy schedule and all that, so I definitely appreciate you coming on and spending your time with me.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right, definitely, man. Thank you so much.